Good morning, everyone. I welcome you to the Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 City of Tumwater Public Works Committee meeting. And with us today, I have Councilmember Jefferson and myself, Councilmember Swarthout. Councilmember Althauser has been excused. So with that, we have roll call done, and I believe we do have some changes to the agenda. I believe Dan let me know that we were going to be removing item number 4 from the agenda, the service provider agreement.
Yes, or the amendment for RH2. Really, it's an item that didn't need to come forward. It's more of an administrative change in the background. So,
okay. So we'll go with so we'll go ahead with grant agreement with the Department of Ecology for nutrient reduction enhanced maintenance plan. You guys have the longest titles. And with that, I believe we have Patrick. Good morning, Patrick.
So I'm filling in for Dave Congeezer today. And so we have a combined presentation for the service provider agreement as well as a grant from the Department of Ecology. So let me get this started for you. Sorry, I'm taking time to share my screen. So I'm not seeing, oh, here we go, sorry.
There should be a green button and down at the bottom in the center. There we go.
Are you seeing it now?
Yeah, we've got your notes on the side, but we do have the pre. Oh, there we go. Good job.
Okay, sorry about that. So this is for a nutrient reduction enhanced maintenance plan, grant agreement and service provider agreement. We're going to have 2 recommended actions at the end. So I'm not going to read through these because we'll have this slide at the very end. But there's 2 different actions that we will be making recommendations for. So an enhanced nutrient management plan, to me, I always thought it was an interesting term in and of itself when you're talking about stormwater. So stormwater, the city of Tumwater has a NPDES permit for our discharges of stormwaters to water bodies from the Department of Ecology. Bud Inlet does not meet water quality standards for dissolved oxygen. And when we talk about nutrients, we're referring to the organic material that is in the fine particulates that are in road grit and along roadsides that run off onto the road and get into our conveyance systems and then ultimately can get put out into water bodies if they're not treated. So one of the things that this enhanced nutrient management plan would do is we would do some mapping of our conveyance systems and what streets they collect water from and try to figure out how big of an area, how much use and runoff each one of those discharge areas contribute. And then we would develop a plan to take measures to reduce those. So that would be the goal of creating an enhanced management plan. The outcomes, as I started to explain, is to be able to go and look at all of our conveyance system, map it all in GIS layers to make sure that we know where each of our discharges come from, how big of an area, what types of streets they come from, and then develop strategies for sweeping routes that focus on very specific areas that have the highest potential to discharge these pollutants into water bodies, where we could gain reduction in those pollutants with treatment systems and just maintenance activities, as well as identify equipment that might be needed to carry out this plan.
Patrick, I have a
Yes.
question. So are these mostly main roads?
Correct. Yes. Essentially, any road that has a curb and gutter leads into a storm drain, and then
Mhm.
those get connected. And depending on the geographical area, some of them don't combine too many streets together, and others combine a great deal of streets together.
Okay,
So we have
understood.
most of those areas already mapped as far as where those utilities are, but this would be a more comprehensive mapping to really focus on the collection areas of each one of those pipe systems and where specifically they go.
Understood. So just getting very detailed. Thank you.
That is correct. And then to have some specific strategies for reducing those pollutants, either through maintenance activities or treatment.
Okay.
So the ecology grant would be to develop this plan. So that's the whole goal of the grant is to go and be able to hire a contractor, develop this plan. They're very specific plans that we don't have in-house capacity to do. And some of these activities, once you have the plan developed, give you opportunities for different grants to purchase things that would to carry out that. So one of the things in the past that Ecology had available was money to get, or grants to get additional sweepers. So those are very expensive, and having this plan would make us eligible for those types of grants if they come up again in the future. So we've selected Herrera as a service provider. We did 2 rounds of requests for qualifications. We've worked with Herrera in the past and have a very good working relationship with them. We know that they have done these sorts of plans before. They're very specific. Not a lot of companies have done this before. And so they are working with Bellingham and Tukwila on these exact same types of plans. So they do have that background. And we're currently working on a project with other regional partners with them on a project that is similar, but is focused more on roadside treatment. So the ecology grant is for $170,000 with a $30,000 match from the city. It would start as soon as possible and go through the end of June of 2026. The service provider agreement is for $190,000, $561. It does align with our permit requirements, and that service provider agreement would go until the end of June, same as the grant. And here are the recommended actions again, both for the grant agreement and the service provider agreement. I can take questions at this time.
Sorry, my little laptop thing, trying to get to the bottom part of this thing has been. All right, so we have 2 before us. So you've covered both. So we've got, for clarification, we have, we'll be taking, we've got grant number 3, agreement, item number 3 on the agenda. And that has to do, let's see, what is that one? And then we have the service provider agreement. Okay, all right. So, council member, I can't talk this morning. Jefferson, I'm sorry. I'm going for Althazer's in my head. So worried about him. No. So do you have any other questions for them? I think this is a really great project. I know Dan's talked about this before as far as trying to, like, how we don't, how to be able to measure the water that just comes straight into our streams and stuff. So this is a way to figure out, what's going into our streams. So, all right. So let's see. I don't care. Should we do the first one? Let's see. We have a recommended action to place the grant agreement with the Department of Ecology for the nutrient reduction enhanced maintenance plan on the April 15th, 2025 council consent calendar with a recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor to sign.
So moved, I approve.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. So moving on to the next one, we have I'll make a motion to place the service provider agreement with the Herrera for the nutrient reduction enhanced maintenance plan on the April 15th, 2025 council consent calendar with a recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor to sign.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. I got two of those out of the way for you. Thanks for the work.
Thank you very
Video.
much.
All right, so moving right along then, we will be going up to item number 5 on the agenda is the Anson Sewer Project Authority to solicit bids.
Thank you, council member. Good morning, everyone. My name is
Good
Jeff
morning.
Query. I'm an engineer with the Transportation and Engineering Department team. Today, I will be presenting to you the Anson Sewer Project. Bear with me here. Can everyone see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yes, so basically, we're here today to specifically requesting to prepare to solicit for bids for a 1,425-foot sewer extension project along Anson Road. In addition to that, we will be decommissioning a lift station located over on Lake Park Drive down here. So why are we doing this project? Well, there's a couple reasons. For the primary focus of the project, the Anson Street Force Main, we will be adding additional capacity. Right now, we have 2 lift stations coming together at the same location. And so by adding this new line, we will be increasing capacity and also having a safer system with far less maintenance than we're seeing now. The secondary portion of the project over here would be to decommission the old Lake Park lift station, which is hasn't been used for many years. It's got active electrical equipment and is a safety issue. So we'd like to see that go away. Moving forward, so here's a little more detail about the project. So the upper map that you can see here kind of demonstrates what we have going on. We have the Streamland lift station located here. This is the Streamland neighborhood, and several other tributary basins send sewer to this lift station right here. It pumps out and goes to a manhole up on Chaparral. So basically the limits of that portion of that project would go from Sap Road to Chaparral. The other lift station that's tributary to this line is Suncrest. So we have the Suncrest neighborhood, and all this sewer flows here, pumps all the way down Linwood, around Sap, and then connects to a common force main and pumps to that same manhole. What we're proposing with this design is to add a new independent 6-inch force main that would be specific for Suncrest. So we'd have an independent line for Streamland, we'd have an independent line for Suncrest, and a much more efficient system. It would also increase capacity within the sewer basin as part of our sewer comp plan, providing the ability to add more sewer connections to the system. So you can see here's the Streamland lift station and Suncrest lift station here. Across the street, we have the old Lake Park lift station. So what you can see here in this picture down on the bottom of my slide is the old valve vault. That's a definite safety issue. If someone could get into that, that's a problem. We have an active PSC power pedestal that's powered up as we speak, and then also the old control panel. So we're looking to just simply get rid of all this, demo it out, and be done with that. Moving on, just discussing in a little more detail. So the bulk of the improvements would be the installation of about a 1/4 mile of new 6-inch force main up Anson Street. So you can see Anson Street here. The sewer will be installed on this side of the road, going there, and then decommissioning of the old lift station. So I talked a little bit about the benefits. Would have a safer and more efficient sewer system, increasing not only sewer pumping capacity, but also be able to add more tributary flow to both basins. And then, as I talked before, the pump station decommission, we're removing all the unused pump equipment and hardware. So increase in safety, less maintenance for our sewer operation staff, and then getting rid of PSC power motor and meter and control panel. The added bonus of this project is that we'll be able to fully restore Anson Street as part of our 2025 pavement maintenance project later this summer. So you'll have a nice shiny new road on top of all the sewer improvements along Anson Street. The cost overview, we're expecting a range of approximately $340,000 to $420,000. The funding is 100% through our sewer capital fund. Our anticipated schedule, as you see, we'd like to go to bid here later in April with a construction timeframe in June. That's about roughly 4 weeks of construction, and then we'd be substantially complete in July. And then shortly thereafter, our paver would come through and put a nice new road on top of that. So that completes my presentation. Did anyone have any questions? So the ultimate request here would be to place the Anson Sewer project on the May 6, 2025 council consent calendar with a recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a public works contract to the lowest responsible bidder.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. I just wanted to clarify a couple points. You're going to see later on this year a budget amendment come through. This was a project that, while we had done some preliminary design work previously, it was one that we had when we were looking at prioritizing some of the capital projects to move forward. It was a time and capacity issue at the beginning of the year. However, as Jeff noted, this aligned really well with the pavement program, and so it was one of those where we met. We kind of discussed, hey, this project is ready to go. We've got some project efficiencies that are happening, and it is one that we can fully cover with the sewer fund. We would just need a budget amendment because it wasn't one that we had previously considered to move forward this year. But we're going to do it, and you'll see that again later on this year. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background on how it's going to happen. So.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Jefferson, do you have any questions?
No questions, and it's pretty.
If we can go back to the
Federal.
gallery screen, that would be great. I've got the thing up. So I had a couple questions. So it looks like the Lake Park one, does that have anything to do? That must be near where we're doing our new sidewalk project, the one we're going to decommission. Is that on the other side of the road from the?
Yes, it is. So yeah, it's directly across the street there. It's very near that. So that'll all get cleaned up out of there.
So the Suncrest will be taking care of that area that homes that are in that let's see, on the alphabet streets over there, and then Anson will be the one that goes all for the Streamland Estates and all the properties that are in the back. I was curious, there's some bigger properties that are off of Anson that way in the back that have been there for a long, long time. Are they on city sewer and water as well, or are they on septic out there? Because they've been there forever.
Yeah, thank you, council member. No, that's a fantastic question. Actually, we have seen a handful of properties begin to convert from septic systems to city sewer. We have a great incentive program where we have rebates on that. And so we have seen a couple properties along Anson actually connect into city sewer, and it continues to the north up to Crosby. So there's definitely opportunities for folks to connect as we see systems failing and whatnot. So by doing this will also add capacity for folks to do that. And so that is something we're seeing.
So Streamland Estates itself is all on city sewer, correct? Then all that.
Yes, it is.
Newer homes that are there are on city. It's just the back properties then.
Yeah, basically the east side and the upper stuff to the north.
Okay.
Folks along Sap Road to the south are intermittently connecting as well. Or as we see development, that of course triggers the requirement to connect in most cases.
So we'll be putting the line down Anson. So if would the people that are off in those areas be able to, like a latecomer or something, will they be able to hook up? It's been a while since I've been down that road. So
yeah, no, you're totally fine. Yeah, there are no latecomers in some cases. We do consider either like a special assessment, which is city funded like this one, or in some cases of private development, we would go the latecomer route if it makes sense. That's entirely up to the developer if they would like to try to recover some of those development costs. But in this case, we do not have any special assessment or like a type of latecomer attached to the project. They would be able to connect regardless of this transmission force main. It's simply alleviating stress on our pumping systems.
okay.
And then the gravity sewer flows to these two independent lift stations. So now they're freed up, instead of two systems pumping together, you would have two systems that would have independent force main lines, bringing up that capacity in that way,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Okay, I was just curious, yeah, because that area is known for flooding, so, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely a
yeah.
wetlands in some areas.
Yeah, we've got the Percival Creek running right through there, and so
Mhm.
there's some critical areas and some nuances that can make it tricky for sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know how many properties are down there, just to, yeah, just to see if we can offer them the opportunity to
Mhm.
hook up.
Yes, definitely.
So we have a lot of work going on down there because we'll also be doing the fish passage barrier
Mhm.
removal. So a lot of work going on. All right.
Yes,
Well,
thank you.
you bet.
Thanks,
So-
Jeff.
All right, this is a good project. So let's see, we have a recommended action before us to place the Anson Sewer Project on the May 6, 2025 City Council consent calendar with a recommendation to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a public works contract to the lowest responsible bidder.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that one is passed. Thank you so much. All right, and now we'll be moving on to resolution R 2025-008 and development agreement with Tumwater 70th Avenue LLC for conversation of on-site septic to public sewer service. Dan, man, Dan, you have the longest titles.
I know, we gotta work on that for y'all. Between that's why we love acronyms so much. 'Cause, it helps us tell our stories without necessarily giving you all of the words necessary there. So like NPDS, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, every time we go to talk about that. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing the presentation side. If not, are you seeing the presentation scale here? You're seeing the notes, huh? All right, let's see if I can't flip that around. Let's see, switch windows. You'd think we'd get this down by now.
I know, right? At least you know how to do that. I don't.
Yeah, see, it's an issue when I have on my home computer versus my work computer versus my home screen, and which one am I looking at, and which buttons do I need to?
You're good when you hit the slideshow. If you want to hit that again.
Okay. And where was the switch? There's ways to switch with which view you're looking at. Because I'm seeing my screen there.
There we go.
There we go. Now you should just be seeing my notes. Or I mean, now you should just be seeing the slides.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. Well, with all this talk about sewer, thanks Jeff for that. Kind of bring us around to this side of the world. Yes, we're talking about the development agreement and the resolution for the Velcoma Mobile Home Park conversion from septic system to sanitary sewer. And I think Councilmember Swarthout, you might have been around back when we were talking about the regional summit septic back in the day, and work with Thurston County and the city of Lacey and Olympia. We're kind of identifying the challenges around urban density septic systems. Urban septic systems in and of themselves are a good use of technologies to help dispose of wastewater and treat that wastewater. But when you have them at urban densities, that's a density is greater than 1 acre apart or 5 acres apart from the next one. They can add more pollutants to the groundwater and challenge drinking water systems. Luckily, we're trying to get ahead of that. The Velcoma Mobile Home Park, through that work with the Regional Septic System, Regional Septic Summit, was identified as one of our higher risk neighborhoods that the city would be aiming to convert from septic to sanitary sewer, public sewer, which is gets treated down at the Lot Clean Water Alliance down at the and Bud Inlet. A couple of the issues why does the city want to kind of assist systems or neighbors? Why do we have the incentive programs that Jeff had talked about to encourage these conversions to happen? Well, part of it's the high cost for the individual property owner. In some cases, $10,000 to $40,000 on average. It can go up from there. In the case of the Velcoma Mobile Home Park, very expensive system. We have been working with Greg and Dan Piantanita, which I believe Greg is also here with us this morning, and we'll offer him an opportunity to say some words on this in a few moments. So we want to create some programs, one that incentivize folks, and we've never actually had an incentive for a project as large as this move forward. Most of our stuff is for single family property owners, and it was a couple years back before I want to say, gosh, 2019, 2018 now, I think. Velcoma Mobile Home Park approached the city and asked, if there was any way that, they could work with us to get onto city water. Prior to that, they were working with a private property owner adjacent to the Velcoma Mobile Home Park, where they had a singular well basically for multiple properties. And, that is a loud process. However, sometimes there's some property owner changes. Sometimes, folks that were caring for those wells have passed away or moved. And, two-party wells can become somewhat of a challenge. And, so they approached the city. And from that, the city was able to acquire some of the water rights that were serving Velcoma Mobile Home Park. And the Mobile Home Park folks got incredibly tasty, fresh, cold Tumwater water for themselves. So it was kind of a win-win there. And, during that process, I know I talked with Greg and Dan and said, hey, you guys ever think about converting over? We do have incentive programs, and we could work with, the state to see if there's any additional funds out there, because a project like this, which is to convert 39 units from septic system to private or public sanitary sewer, is not cheap. We penciled this project out a couple of years ago, looked about $1 million, of which $666,666.66 was eligible through Ecology's permitting system, and that number is just an odd number. And so, that was the eligible costs, of which Ecology committed $500,000, and the city is matching with $166,000, $666.67 to meet up those full costs. And for the grant itself, because this is a unique nature around a public-private partnership, we are looking at putting together a social marketing campaign. You might have heard Meredith previously talk about this work that they're doing, and effectively what we're trying to do is help other folks in the state. And this was kind of an ask of the state to help other mobile home parks and folks like that would be interested in converting over. What does it take? What does that process look like? So Meredith is working on those. So you still have her for a couple more months working on some stuff with us in the background. That's why you see folks like me presenting on this project and Patrick presenting on the stormwater project. These are also two projects that were formerly held by Meredith. So she's still working on those pieces. I know Greg and Dan are excited to get going on the construction side. They've been working with our engineering team the last, probably a year plus, to make sure they've got the designs and are meeting the standards. And so, what do we got here? And I see Greg's, he popped in to say hi. And Greg, before I get too deep into this, if you wanted to offer, say something, feel free.
Yeah, let me, a couple of things. First off, I'm a little bit upset that my costs are coming in higher than your range. They're coming in about 48,000 a unit. And frankly, this was a difficult decision because candidly, moving from septic to sewer does not enhance our ability to charge higher rents, i.e. to help the economics of the property. Tenants are not going to pay a higher rent because they're on a sewer system versus septic. So we had to figure out how to rationalize basically an expenditure of over 2.3 million. And we spent about 3 years negotiating with the city. And the solution was obviously Dan's ingenuity as far as getting a grant, which covers about 30% of the cost. But then working with the city to convert those drain field areas into additional pads. And those additional pads, we basically, our permit allows for 10 additional homes. And again, this is an age 55 plus park. This is definitely affordable housing. We're basically going to put in, brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes. And the sales price on those homes is going to range from 200 to 250,000 per home. Now, keep in mind, you also pay pad rent on top of that. But that's still, in the scheme of things, pretty affordable housing for the city. So that's kind of the game plan. I would like to make one other comment. The negotiations have been tough over the last 3 years. The city has been demanding at times. But I will tell you, council members, that all the people we've dealt with at the city have been gracious, professional, a pleasure to work with. And I really hope that you bring that back to the city management, that it's really nice working with people that conduct themselves in a very civil, gentlemanly fashion. So just FYI.
Thank you
That's
for
good.
those words. We love our staff as well, and thank you for sharing that. And hopefully we'll have someone there to make sure that the rest of the team hears your words as well.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that a lot. And as he knows, this hasn't been an easy process, to get to. And it's one of the reasons why, we wanted to put together some background information for other municipalities, other mobile home parks, and so that there was kind of a framework of understanding of how difficult these projects really are. And as Greg notes, that these are really low income support, or moderate income housing support that our communities rely upon. And so how does that pencil out for the underlying property owners? How does this process move forward? Without public dollars, without this grant, this project wouldn't have been able to, get as far down the road as it has been. In addition, the city and LOT both have incentive programs around reduction of connection fees. For projects like this, one for early conversion and two to support low and moderate income housing. And so while this development agreement doesn't necessarily connect the new housing that Greg is talking about, that is happening. One of the expectations of this work is that they're taking good notes on their sites when they're submitting receipts to the city for reimbursement on the cost that the grant can fund. That there is a distinction there between the new and the existing pieces. And so this is really just dealing with the existing units and converting those 39 units over. And I know they're working on the background on the news, and it's really that component with the incentive package with the public granting funds that make this project still not necessarily pencil out, but with Greg and Dan's commitment to helping the city move through with this, bringing this project together, recognizing the benefits of the water quality and to the rest of our drinking water systems for the entirety of our community. This project is still moving forward, and for that I thank you guys for continuing to work with us. And negotiations are what they are. We've got to figure out ways to make sense for everybody, to the best of our abilities and meet the standards of our communities. And so, with that, they've been, gracious and professional to work with as well. And so, and really helped us further this program forward, not only for us, but again, for other municipalities and serve as a model across the state. So as I mentioned, the 39 units are eligible for that. So what does that mean? The abandonment of all the existing septic systems out there, restoration from the construction project, the materials and labor under the construction project, the latecomer fees. I think there was some special assessments on some latecomer fees that are reimbursable through this project. The connection fees, because these are technically new connections, to LOT. We're able to cover those as well as provide incentives to discount those fees. And the design and permitting costs that they've been incurring to date. So 70th Ave LLC is going to be required, to do basically the project management elements of this. Recruit, contract with the construction companies, get the designs, the permits, and manage the construction project. They're going to remove and abandon the existing septic systems. They're going to make the new connections, to the sewer and maintain the systems moving forward. Get all the documentation and report to the city. We're going to then administer the grant. We're going to provide all the quarterly reports. We're going to work with the state to make sure that they have what they need to be able to reimburse the city. So that way we can then in turn provide those reimbursements to 70th Ave LLC, document the whole process, and then prepare those reports for the Department of Ecology of what the whole project looks like. So you know, again, kind of simplify it in these bullets, but you know, we've been working on this project now, I think, what, 3 years, Greg, and then now finally moving into the meat of the project, which is a great place for us to be right now. And the grant extends I think, to November 25, so really we're on point to make sure that that happens. And depending on how the construction plays out, the schedule, that we'll see, I think we'll be able to definitely pull it in this year. So the next steps, bring resolution R 2025-008 to City Council on April 15th at 7 p.m. There will be a public hearing. And with that, we would then ask for council acceptance following that meeting for authorization to proceed with the development agreement with Tumwater 77th or 70th Ave LLC. Move that forward. And then away we go. We'll get the construction. I believe Greg's got a contractor he's already starting to work with, and so it's just a matter of getting the development agreement signed, which provides that clarity of who's reimbursing what and what the roles look like. And this is kind of the last piece I think we needed to be able to move forward. And with that, I would ask that committee place the resolution R 2025-008 and the development agreement with Tumwater 70th Ave LLC on the April 15th, 2025 City Council agenda for a public hearing, and recommend the council approve and authorize the mayor to sign following conclusion of the hearing.
So moved as stated. Thank you, Dan.
Welcome.
While you're on it there this morning. So. All right, so I did have some questions. Just wanted to circle back on the numbers. So there's a grant, the grant covers, he's talking about a grant covers a third of what the estimated project is coming in at 2.3 million. Is that what, is that total, that's the septic piece, that conversion piece of it?
Yes, but that includes adding 10 pads.
Okay.
And because we're adding pads, we then needed to bring in fire hydrant, widen the streets, meet some of the city's other requirements.
Okay.
And that doesn't include the housing that'll be put on top, or you'll be
Correct.
bringing units in then? Okay.
It does not include that at all.
Okay. So who's it eligible for? Are you going to be putting, is it up to someone else to put the homes in place, or is that a project that you'll be doing?
No, our experience is that when we're dealing with age 55 plus people, they really want simplicity. And so, our experience is we would go ahead and buy the homes. We'll put the homes in place. And then we advertise those homes for sale. Where somebody can walk up, they can see the home, the decks, the parking area, the carport, if appropriate. It's just a lot easier. We could sit there and just wait for people to buy homes and then find our park, but it's just a very, very slow process. In this case, when you're spending 2.3 million less the grant, we've got to move our economics quickly to support that expenditure. And so to sit around and wait for 5 years for those pads to be absorbed is just not going to work for us. And so we want to be proactive. And, that way we're coming in, our first phase is 6 homes in one specific area. So we can landscape them, we can market them, it can look like sort of a little subdivision within the park.
Makes sense.
And we'll advance the money personally to buy the homes, but then we get that money back when we sell the homes. We typically break even or make a slight profit on the sale of the homes. Our goal is to get new homes into the park and to get the rent income coming in.
Well, this looks like a good project. I appreciate. Yes, I was at the 2015 Septic Summit. It was very impactful. It has stayed with me for all these years. So I appreciate this project helping us address this. And one more, we could take some more red dots off our map. So this is a good. So we do have a resolution before us, a recommended action that was stated by Councilmember Jefferson. Do I need to reread that, or we have already read it into the record? So
the reading is sufficient, but if you could make the motion again, that would be appreciated.
Okay, all right. I'd like to make a motion to place resolution R 2025-008 and development agreement with Tumwater 70th Avenue LLC on the April 15th, 2025 City Council agenda for a public hearing, and recommend council to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the following following the conclusion of the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Super.
Great, thank you.
Well, thank you,
Thank you.
Greg, for attending today. That's. I
Also,
appreciate your words.
thanks to Greg and partners and, you know, the work that they do and their commitment to housing and keeping housing affordable. Like really running on slim margins to see this project come through, and it's been a focal point for all of us. How do we make this work? How can they make this work
Right.
to move this project forward? So away we go.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. So we have now reached the end of our agenda. Do we have any other items that we need to discuss?
Not from staff.
Look like it.
All right. Well, Dan, when do you take off for vacation?
Well, technically, I am in a conference next week. We'll be representing the city on a panel regarding workforce development around water utilities, or actually stormwater utilities in this case. And then the following week, so it's kind of it'll be in a wonderful place, the conference, and so it kind of like it's an early start to my vacation, but my vacation will start immediately following that conference.
Congratulations, a well-deserved vacation. So
Yeah.
good for you. I'm glad you guys are finally been able to take time to be able to do this. You need to
It's
Rest.
tough.
Rest,
Always
rest,
fun that
rest.
time.
So, all right. Well, with that then, with another additional items on our agenda, I will call the Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 City of Tumwater Public Works Committee adjourned, and everyone have a super good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.